Als ob man da durchschießen kann.
Yeah, come on. Okay, I'm gonna freestyle this section because I've recorded so many intros and who cares. So, as you saw in this clip, my friend, let's call him Dekunat5. He's new to Rainbow Six Siege. So I asked him, he's now a bit over level 100, he has over 100 hours. I asked him a few questions, what he feels like as a newcomer, because I think that Ubisoft isn't doing enough to help newcomers get into the game, and I wanted to know his perspective on things. Enjoy the video, and I'd be very grateful if you subscribed or left a comment or whatever. Have a nice day. Who needs greetings?
Who needs greetings?
Yeah, who needs greetings? I mean, it's just like the game. The game doesn't greet you anyways. Okay, first question.
Yeah.
When you first started playing R6, what was it like for you?
For me personally, it's definitely something difficult because from my point of view, I only played like little shooters like Gmod, which can be debated if it's like full count shooter, like, you know. It was kind of difficult to learn because then I had to learn like about every character, every position that I'm in. I have to learn the call outs, I have to learn this, that. I have to basically get a grip to the game, and it's not really well explained anywhere.
Yeah. That was my second question. How do you feel about the way that R6 and Ubisoft don't really give you any explanation what to do?
It sucks.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, when I started first, and I did not know anything about like what I should do and how the game goes, I basically wandered and just wandered around and just like did my shit, because, well, if nobody really is there to explain me how to play, then what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, that's what I think is a big problem, that there is no tutorial in the game, there is no shooting range. How do you feel about that? There's not even a shooting range like in Valorant, for example.
Yeah, that is just straight up, that straight up sucks. Like, do you really think you can learn everything from like easily just observing? That is like a bad attitude to have to begin with. If you think like that is enough, you don't need any more guidance than like experience before. And even then, if you like, let's say, have like 1,000 hours, or like in my case 100 hours in like CS:GO, that does really nothing for you, because, well, at the end of the day, you're not learning anything.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask about, since you're a newcomer and you experienced like you didn't know anything, right? Like you didn't watch tutorials or something. Like I helped you. What do you think about the rather toxic community? Did anyone ever like help you?
Nah, no one.
Strangers. Yeah. What do you think about the toxicity in the game?
It's definitely a problem, but it's more for a gaming kind of thing, like in the gaming culture. They want to be like a better guy, or like want to act like an alpha male, despite the fact that it's mostly different the case every time. However, if you consider like the fact that they have like toxic players and you're like a new player in a new game, you will definitely experience some harassment via voice chat if you have that turned on. As a new player, you don't have it turned on, which depends on the case. Can be a good thing, but doesn't need to be a good thing.
Yeah. What do you think if you started the game alone? Like you were interested, you saw it on a Steam sale, you got it for like €10, and you started it alone, and you were met with all this toxicity and with zero explanation of what to do. Do you think you would have put the time in, like you have now, or would you have just dropped the game altogether?
I would have probably dropped the game, because at that point I would be like, yeah, like, what what am I even doing this for? Because last time I checked, I just want to play a game where I just have fun. It's not really possible if the game doesn't explain me how to do anything or like how I should get better. If I have to do that myself, that kind of sucks, and I don't think it should be like this big of a competition. If I even play on casual, where I just play against random players, and if they want to sweat in, and I'm like, all right, good, then I can't do shit about it.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel about the Newcomers playlist? That is mostly filled with veteran players using smurf accounts to troll noobs. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that just sucks in general, to be honest.
Yeah.
People doing that are usually just bored, or they just don't want to do anything, like helping the community or anything like that. Which that does kind of suck, but in the end of the day, what are you going to do? Like, you can't stop them if they're just doing it.
Okay. One more thing. You've played the game for 100 hours now. Is that correct? 100 hours, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
How would you describe your experience with this game?
Let's start with the operators because I think that is where the spotlight of the game is. The operators themselves, I think they're pretty neat to add, but as a new player, you're just not like expecting anything what an operator does. You just see them firstly as just a character that you can choose. And as a new player, you only have recruit who's just a character who doesn't even have anything. And I think that is one of the things that just suck straight up. Since recruit doesn't have any special abilities, that makes him definitely a weird character or a weird position to be in for his character. Like I said, he doesn't have anything, which can be very, very, depending on the situation, damning, let's say. For example, if you want to learn about like operators, sometimes you learn from your mistakes, but other times it's like you will slip up a few more times until you get it. Like Capcan, which is he's definitely one of the operators. You will definitely fall for like the first few times because you just don't see him coming or like you don't know what he does, right? But after time, like you will learn it, but it does take quite some time and also some research. Something that like an operator like let's say Melusi does is kind of obvious from the beginning because you just see it and the effects are just there. They work directly. But as a new player, you just don't know how to react to these things, obviously. And let's say if um, the new player will just try to destroy the Banshee.
Melusi and Capcan, that's right.
Yeah,
What I wanted to say. Yeah.
I was trying to explain like how new players will get confused at first.
Yeah.
Maybe if they see these things from like miles away but don't know how to react to them, or if they see, or if they're like close to these things but they don't know what they do.
Yeah. Mind if I say something to that? That's a very good point. Let's imagine the situation: a new player, like he started his first match, he's playing recruit, and he gets trapped by one of Melusi's wop wop things. Okay, so he's in this effect. He doesn't know what's happening to him, and he doesn't know what's causing it. He will know that he has to go up to this triangle thing and melee it. He'd probably try shooting it, and he'll probably just get picked off by the Melusi. And when he then goes to ask, like, a team member, they'll probably just tell him to fuck off or something. And that's the problem with the whole game. Newcomers don't get anything from Ubisoft, and they don't get anything from the community either. Like, they can go to YouTube and look up some tutorials, but, you know, some people just won't put in the effort. They'll start a game, expect a tutorial, get these free videos that just tell you how to reinforce, break a barricade, and shoot, and that's it.
Mm. I think one of the biggest mistakes new players make is that they can easily adjust to any game if they just like try for a bit, which is really weird because from my at the time when I played, I was like already in the level 100 area because I was basically mainly training with you, and I was like level 50 in my account, despite the fact that I didn't even play that. But what I've had is that everyone there was basically using the sounds against me, and they could just know when I'm there because they could easily hear me, and I'm not aware that they're actually this good. But then I tried to play against like level 5 players, and they basically do the same thing because they're mostly smurfs, and you just easily encounter them, which just fucking sucks, honestly.
Yes, that's a good point. The matchmaking is pretty bad. From what I know, the casual matchmaking gives you a hidden ranking, which starts at 2,500 or something like that, and every time you win or lose, it gets higher or lower. And the thing is, when you're a new player and you start with that basic value, you don't get put in with like people similar to your skill. You get put in with people like smurfs that just bought the game again, or in my case, back when I started, I got put in with a level 250 and I get destroyed. And I didn't know nothing what was happening. I just got destroyed. And that almost turned me away from the game. And I think that's a big problem because the fucking like tutorial is utter garbage. It doesn't reflect the game at all, and Ubisoft is doing nothing about it. That's my opinion.
And also, for someone who played late, I've heard that this game actually had way more things like night maps and like really cool events. I wasn't there to play them, which just kind of sucks because I wish they at least had give every player the opportunity to revisit events, because if they just miss it, they miss it most of the time, and you can't do anything about it.
That's a pretty good point you brought up. Old events that, like, let's take for example the Western event or the Halloween event of 2019. New players will never get to experience it because it was limited time only, and I think Ubi should either make them permanent playlists, like they can rotate the game modes, like they do with the maps. But like you can go to arcade and play like Golden Gun or the one plain one, the fucking April 1st event. Because they already put all this work into these events instead of like working on the game, so they could at least give us that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something I've wondered is like I couldn't even play like the older events because most of the people are just complaining that the older events were better sometimes, or like worse, depends. Like I can't re-experience them, and I like joined in when like the Halloween event of 2020 was there, and I thought that event was complete bullshit. I would just rather play the normal mode because, well, it doesn't give me anything. It's just deathmatch, but everyone spawn camps you, and it really does take away the fun. Because in a game like Rainbow Six, where you're supposed to strategize more, which turns out to be like sometimes you're saving grace, sometimes not. Yeah, it just kind of sucks because if they make game mode where you don't think and just act, that's just stupid, in my opinion. And honestly, it just makes everything worse from the events that made it actually like better, because the events are there to give you an experience different from a game, but if it's so different that it kind of destroys the whole idea, I think that's a bad sign of not doing a good event.
Yes,
Or a clear sign.
Yeah, I agree with you. Partially, the event should definitely be like permanent, but with the different experience, I think when they do an event, it should either be close to the original game and be something like the 2015 event, where you play on old maps, but they should put more work into it. Like the throwback nostalgia, whatever the fuck you wanna call it, event, it sucked. It was terrible. It was just the old maps and not like the old operators, which they could at least have put that work in giving everyone an ACOG that had one. And also, the Halloween 2019 event was something completely different. It was a Halloween style game, okay, a bit horror. It was Doctor's Castle, which was basically hide and seek. It was different, very different. The 2020 event was a deathmatch, a team deathmatch. It didn't work. It was terrible. And I feel like they didn't put the effort in. They could have. And it's just like Ubisoft seems rather lackluster, generally. Let's talk about the new seasons, if you want, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
For the new seasons, I feel like that is something that just kind of gets worse with the new updates. Is that they only focus on the minimal things, which is like get an operator out, reset the battle pass, rework some maps, and do nothing for like 2 whole months.
That's a good point. Especially with the one operator thing, they used to do 2 operators, a new map, and those 2 operators also had new guns. Now they reuse the guns, which is fine. We can't expect them to license a bunch of guns, and I think there's even a limit on how many they can license. But now they've gone to giving us a single operator, reused guns, and one map rework. And this season, they reworked a casual map, and ranked players that only play ranked, they don't get anything. The new defender is mediocre at best and pretty shit at worst. And they don't get a new map, they don't get anything else other than that. And I think that's pretty bad. And also, the health of the game, we could definitely use another Operation Health 2.0. Because with the rising in hackers and DDoSing and other problems, this game's gonna die if Ubisoft doesn't do anything against it. Honestly.
Yeah, I have a hunch that it doesn't really live for much longer unless they try something new or if they like working on something in secret, which I highly doubt they did.
Oh,
But
yeah. About that, they're working on Rainbow Six Quarantine, which is like a PvE game, and I think they should not do that. They should have just made another event and made it permanent, or put more work into their main game, which is, well, all they have right now for the R6 series. Also,
I feel like events should return more often,
yes,
or like
yes,
at least like the older ones.
I agree with you there. I also think that the game will die out because more and more players are leaving because of the way the game is handled right now. Like, for example, gameplay after death. It's pretty fucking terrible. It's a shitty idea. And I don't think they will incorporate it in the main game. If they do, if they incorporate gameplay after death, the game will die. And I think more players are leaving, and there are no new players coming. Because a new player is gonna look at this game, they're gonna look up their favorite YouTuber playing it, and it's just the person sits around, does nothing, gets in a gunfight, dies, and there's nothing to do. So that's pretty boring. And when they try it for themselves, they get overwhelmed with all these things that they need to learn. Recoil patterns, what's the best attachment, what this operator can do, kill distance, all this stuff. And with the maps, with callouts, all this stuff, they have to learn all this. And except for if they have a friend that helps them or some YouTube videos, they won't get much help because the community is very, very toxic and unfriendly to new players. And also the thing with smurfs, it gives them the rest. Like, you like play the game for the first time and you play against some dude that has like 10,000 hours. That's not fun. You're not gonna stick around to learn the game if all you can is keep getting destroyed by things you don't understand and no one's there to help you. You won't just continue playing, you'll drop the game. And that's what many people will do, and then the game will just die out. And that's very sad because, in my opinion, there is no game quite like Siege. And losing a game to this, to incompetence, is something very sad. Well, that's
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, exactly. If I have something to add is that if it wasn't for like you and like a few other friends, I probably would have never played it or like even gotten anywhere with it, even if I had the game. Because at the end of the day, it was just like you guys were taught. They taught me like everything I need to know, or like every basic, and that helped me. That helped me more, but I still made newbie mistakes. Like, for example, I just still walked through Capcom's traps because I just, as a new player, even though I know that they have one, I just don't look out for them because it's more of a clumsy mistake. And if it happens once, you will maybe learn your lesson. But if it happens twice, it's just
Yeah,
too
that's on
clumsy.
you then. That's on you then.
Yeah,
But
that will be on my ends.
would you recommend this game? Would you recommend Rainbow Six Siege in its current state to other people?
Personally, not. If they have a friend that plays this game, that's a different story. But
For a
as
solo
for
player,
it
let's
is
say for your average
now,
guy, he works 9 to 5. He only has the weekends to play, so he doesn't have much time to put into one singular game, and he only plays solo. Would you recommend your average Joe this game?
no, I wouldn't. That is not a game which you would learn as quickly as possible. If they are invested to like learn, try and learn this game, then maybe. But it's something like that still takes effort. And don't forget that there are like 60 operators in the game, which you also have to learn about. You need to know the callouts and the maps, which is also a different thing. You have to get experience with the ranked players and also have to get along with how the gun shoots and how it basically operates and which operator has which gun.
Yes, I agree with you there. So I think that wraps up the interview, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.